Now the other claim is that perhaps the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, borrowed it from someone. He got the idea from another book, copied it, heard it from somebody, wrote it down, copied it, and that's how he came up with all this knowledge. Well, the fact of the matter is that we all know that the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, was an ummi, meaning he was illiterate or unlettered. He could not read or write. It mentions in Surah Al-Ankabut chapter 29 verse 48, and you were not able to recite a book before this book came, nor were you able to transcribe it with your right hand. In that case, the rejectors would surely have doubted. So the Holy Quran tells us that you could not read before this, you could not write before this. If you were a learned man, then it would give the disbelievers some kind of ground to say that since he was a lettered man, since he was an educated man, since he was an expert in Arabic poetry and so on, he wrote this book. Whereas we know that that's not true. God knew in His divine wisdom that people will doubt the source of the Holy Quran. Therefore, He chose His last prophet to be an unlettered prophet. It mentions in Surah Al-Sajdah chapter 32 verse 1 to 3, Alif Lam Mim. This is the revelation of the book without a doubt from the Lord of the worlds. They said, He forged it. Indeed, this is the truth from your Lord to warn people who never received a warner before you, that they may receive guidance. So Allah Ta'ala tells us that the Holy Prophet came as a guidance for mankind. And it is mentioned time and time again of where the source of this book lies. Now, an interesting thing, or an interesting story that Dr. Gary Miller narrates is of a time when a Christian minister came to his house to visit. And they were having a discussion about religion. And on his table was a book, the Holy Quran, and it was put face down. And Dr. Gary Miller said that, I have faith, I have confidence in this book. And the minister said, well, if this book is anything other than the Bible, it is only the work of man. So, Dr. Gary Miller engaged in a small 3 to 4 minute debate with him on what actually the Quran contained. And after hearing his points, the minister said, yes, a man did not write this. The devil did. So this was a quick and cheap excuse, a cheap response. It is interesting how the minister said this because it is taught very regularly in Sunday church, the incident that is described in the Bible in John 11 and John 12, where an incident has been mentioned of some of the Jews who were witnesses when Jesus raised a man named Lazarus from the dead. And when the Jews saw that the man was raised from the dead, they still did not believe, even though they saw the miracle with their own eyes. And what did the Jews say? This is the work of the devil. And in Sunday church, people often get emotional when they hear this and they say, oh, if I was in the place of those Jews, I would never have disbelieved. A miracle right before your eyes? How could you disbelieve? Yet when they are presented with the Holy Quran, what do they say? The devil must have written it. The Quran, in any case, gives us the answer. When you read this book, you read it once you are in the habit of saying, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. I seek refuge in Allah from Satan the rejected. So imagine if the devil has written the book himself, he is encouraging you that every time you read this book, say, I seek refuge in Allah. From who? From Satan the rejected, the cursed. It again mentions in the Holy Quran, in Surah Al-Baqarah chapter 2, O you who believe, enter into Islam wholeheartedly and follow not the footsteps of the devil, for he is to you an avowed enemy. So this is just one of many verses in the Holy Quran where the devil has been identified as an enemy. So if the devil has written this book, he must be very stupid to again and again tell the people that the devil is your enemy. He's not your God, he's your enemy. Ask for shelter from him and from his curse when you are reading this book. Now let's come to talk about a mathematical approach to understanding the Holy Quran or the facts that have been mentioned in the Holy Quran. We'll talk about chances and statistics. Say if I have a coin, the chance that I flip it in the air and get heads is 50-50. It's a 1 in 2 chance. Say if I throw a dice, the chance that I get a 6 on the first go is 1 in 6, because the dice has 6 sides. Similarly, if there is a deck of cards and I am to pull out an ace of spades in the first go, the chance of that happening is 1 in 52. Now if I was to string all of these chances together, I would say what would be the chance that I flip a coin, heads comes, then after that immediately I throw a dice and 6 comes, and immediately after that I pull out a card from a deck of cards and an ace comes out, an ace of spades. What is that I get all of these right, one after the other? The chance for getting it right would be 1 in 624. One chance in 624, just 3 incidences. Even if one of them goes wrong, my plan is flopped. I have 623 ways to get it wrong and only one way to get it right. The Quran has spoken about many scientific facts 1400 years ago, which have been proved to be correct. For example, the sun is stationary or revolving. The Quran says it is rotating about its own axis. What is the chance? 1 in 2. Either it is stationary or it is revolving. Similarly, the shape of the earth. Well, the shape could be flat, it could be a pyramid, it could be spherical, it could be a diamond shape, it could be any shape. So let's say, a conservative estimate, let's say it was 12 shapes that were possible. So the chance of getting that right was 1 in 12. Let's talk about the development stages of the human embryo, where the Quran mentions the stages in which the embryo develops. The chance of getting that right, honestly, is 1 in millions. So the chance of just that fact alone would have been 1 in a million, to get that spot on. Yet the Quran talks about over 1,000 verses dealing with the subject of science, which have been proved true. String them all together, the odds of getting all of them right are 1 in billions. So there are billions of ways in which the Quran could have been proved wrong, and only one way for it to be true. And guess what? Nobody has come up with a scientific fact to disprove the Holy Quran.